Hi, Nick Collier here. Today we begin a project that I've been wanting to do for a long time. So I made this adjustable bench pin. So I've cut about 15 of these slices, put it in the lathe, and cut a hole through it and trimmed up one side. And that's kind of the beginning stages of building the base.
What the finished product looks like of these little discs that we just finished cutting right there. You can see the tool is just kind of peeling away, very slowly peeling away the design in the top of that. If you're looking close at the piece itself, that contour tool does a great job, but it doesn't quite make it over there. Now, eventually we're going to cut an oblong hole out of the center here anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. Now we've taken the formed piece of plate and drop it into the jig and tighten it up and put a mill bit in there, and let's crank it up. And we'll drop it down. What we're doing here is getting a flat spot so that when the bolt goes in, it has a nice place to sit. You can see that it's a hole with a countersink, so when the Allen bolt goes in, it has a nice clean place to sit. Alright, this is the last one. Turning it off, and you can get a kind of a view of how that hole went in there. There's just from the point of the tool bit. So this piece slides up and down, and notice there's a washer, a big honking washer up on top. So that washer needs to have 3 holes in it. Let's drill some holes. Hey, Nick Collier here. Well, the next step in this little process is to cut this 1.5 inch interior diameter into little segments. And the segments come into little pieces like this, and later on we're going to add the tabs to it and split it so that it can grip. Put a bolt through here, and then when it gets squeezed, it holds in place, and that way it slides up and down. So we got 10 feet of tubing here for the bench pin. Just run across it a couple of times. Okay, so we're cutting the tube at 23 inches because we need an 11.5 inch piece. So the 11.5 inch mark right there, tighten up on the vise, turn the saw on, and let her squeak away. This is a fairly easy step here. Just put the tube in the lathe, bring the bit up to it. Notice how it's a bit off. That's only because I've got an old dull worn saw blade. If it was a new blade, it would be cutting a lot cleaner than that. But you know, a couple of quick passes and it squares it right up. Go in and weld a little piece underneath just to make sure that those 2 pieces stay together. And since it's kind of cold out, I thought it was really a good idea to do a little preheating. Little 1-inch bead on each side. Here, let me bring it in a little closer and you can kind of see. And the cool part about that, and now this was really my intention when I created the design, is that the upper part of the design, the line, is nice and clean. And mostly I did that because I'm not all that good at welding. We've cut a series of pieces of wood to a milled size. And now we've set up our chop saw, and we're going to drop our piece of wood in there
And if you'll notice that the blade comes down just at a bit of an angle, and it's going to take out that bottom edge right there. And you'll see after a while why we're doing this. Mainly this is the bench pin part, and so then we cut a little V in the point here, and we're all set to go. We've got our a wood bit in there. We've got the thing centered this way and this way, and now basically all we have to do is just drill a hole. Let's see how that came out. Pretty good. We needed to we need to cut 3 holes in the platform here. Simple process. Hold that up against the wood and drill out my 3 holes. Done deal. We got the chop saw set at 45 degrees. I put just the slightest bit of a mark right there, and we're going to come in and take our wooden platforms, ride that right up against the line, and turn it over. Taking that back edge off. Next part's pretty easy. On the bandsaw, we've cut or we've just scribed a couple of lines. And go ahead and follow the line. An important part of this process when you're mounting your pin on your bench is to rotate your, and we're going to bring it right in straight on so you can see it. We'll unscrew it a little bit. And sometimes you think, oh well, I'll just line up the bolts, the bolt holes, and set those up, and then the pin will slip right in there. But the reality of it is that the geometry changes just slightly, and you can see as I rotate the base, the geometry of the plate shifts. So what you have to do is you have to kind of find your center where the plate is exactly level to your bench, and then drill your holes, set your holes and drill them right in that spot. And sometimes it'll be slightly off because you can see we did the lower pin. We shortened that by a fair amount. We just kind of brought it down and recut it back in here. Hi, Nick Collier here. We're at the tail end of this project. We've made 12 or 14 pieces. This is one of them, and you can see that right here is the original bench pin that I made for myself, oh, I don't know, 20 years ago, and it slides up and down. And I mean, literally, this has been sitting here for 20 years, and it hasn't really shown much of a wear on it. I mean, you know, it hasn't gotten rusty or anything like that. I haven't polished it. I've just been using it. The pin, my original pin comes out a little bit further because I wanted it to hang over the edge of the bench so I could open my drawer and saw into the drawer. And that's how that works. But you know, it doesn't mean that this pin can't sit the same way, just closer to the edge. So that's the end of this project, and we've got many more coming, so stay tuned, because there's always something coming through this shop. This is Nick Collier signing out.